So, welcome back. This week, we want to talk to you guys about leadership and more specifically, the 3C's of a leader, which are conviction, courage, and confidence. And we actually came upon this idea because I was going through my notes, my church notes from last April, and our pastor, he taught a series of sermons based upon the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So, why is leadership important?
Yeah, so I actually found a statistic on that from Info Pro Learning, and it basically says the bottom line is that more money is spent on leadership development than any other type of corporate training, but yet 71% of organizations actually feel like their leaders aren't equipped to lead their company, their corporation into the future. And that was surprising because it's like if you guys are spending more money on that, than things like advertising and inventory and like all of these other things that go along with running a business, but you still feel like you don't have good leaders. It's kind of crazy because if you think about it, it's basically a waste of money at that point. Like if you're spending money on leadership and aren't getting good leaders, that's a waste for in most individuals' eyes.
Yeah, I mean, basically, all that's doing is paying for training and then not taking action on the training that you just bought.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's accurate. And I mean, even in, when I worked different jobs and stuff, I've always felt like there wasn't always very strong leadership at some places. Now, other places were pretty good. Like I worked at Best Buy, and I think their leadership was really good. But other places that I worked, I felt like they were, kind of weak in a lot of different areas. Like if I'm gonna be a leader, I have to be a person that people want to follow, not just have to follow. And I think some people, especially in corporate America, they're following people because that's how they get paid, and not so much because they want to see this person succeed, or they have a common goal or a common vision that they can work with this person on achieving. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's kind of sad, but I mean that's the reality of it.
Okay, so now let's get into the juicy part. So we'll start with conviction. And the definition of conviction is a firmly held belief or opinion.
I like conviction because I'm one of those people that I don't believe in not being sure in my actions or my movements. And I see a lot of people that are unsure about where they're going. And the thing about it is, as a leader, I found that if the leader isn't sure, nobody else is sure. And guess what? The people who follow you, they're afraid to follow you because you don't know the destination. And because you don't know the destination, they can't know the destination. And I was actually researching the 25 cognitive biases made by Charlie Munger, I believe. And one of those cognitive biases was people avoid doubt. So if you're a leader in your business, the people on your staff, they don't want to doubt where they're going. They don't want there to be a doubt that they're not going to be successful. So for me, conviction is just really important because even when I raise capital for business, or when I'm pitching somebody on something, or when I'm selling something, like I have to be the first person that believes that my product, my service, my deal is the absolute best in the world, and you're not going to find anything better. Because if I don't believe that, then I can't necessarily convey that to the person that I'm talking to. And if I can't convey that to them, then if I don't get the sale, then I pretty much got what I deserve. So conviction is something that's super, super important to me. Like you really got to believe it with your whole heart. And if you don't, then just don't do it, because there's no point. So what are your thoughts on like conviction?
I feel like conviction is definitely needed, and it's something that I personally struggle with because I am a very indecisive person. So like when we are looking for something to eat, you'll ask me, "Oh, what do you want to eat?" And I say, "I don't know." And then you list all these places, and then I'm like, I don't know. Or when we're watching movies, I mean, it's really just the same thing. And sometimes I can't make up my mind for whatever reason. And I remember when I was reading Think and Grow Rich, he talked about indecisiveness and how it's one of, like, what did he say?
I think he said it was one of the main reasons people fail to be successful or something like that.
Yeah, because you're not sure of yourself. And then in the sermon that our pastor preached, he said that successful people are sure people. So it's definitely something that I need to work on. And if you have indecisiveness, then I encourage you to work on it as well. And then he also said that surety is a sign of faith. So when you're not necessarily just sure in yourself, but sure in your God, then you're putting all of your trust in, the decisions up to Him. So you kind of you feel better about it.
Yeah, because
it takes that stress off of you.
Yeah, because some things in business, I know personally, like there's some things that I just like. There's no way that I can be sure in it without having faith that God will somehow work it out. Because there's some things that honestly that are just totally out of your control, and you don't have the power or authority to make certain things happen. So I feel like you feel convicted when things are in your control, definitely. But even when things are out of your control, that's where faith comes in, because the faith, I feel like, takes the place of that conviction. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I know that it's going to work out. And I feel like that's an ability that the most, successful entrepreneurs need to have in their business, is just conviction and faith when they can't necessarily lean on anything else.
Yeah, definitely. So number 2 of what we want to talk about is courage. Now, the definition of courage is strength in the face of pain or grief. It really just means that you are doing things even when you're afraid to do them.
And what helps me to be courageous, especially when I'm going out doing things where like most people think I can't do, like, I've had people tell me, "Oh, you're never gonna do this, or you're never gonna do that, or you're never gonna accomplish these things." And so far, every single one of those people have been wrong, and it's because I exercise just courage, that ability to kind of not necessarily being courageous doesn't mean that you don't have fear. Mm-hmm. It just means that you don't let it overtake you, and you don't let it make you waver in your actions, and you don't let it affect your ability to do whatever it is you want to do. So for me, courage is just super important, because like there's been times where I've been afraid to ask for a partnership, and it was weird because even though I was afraid, I still asked for it, and I got it super easy, and I got it almost as if the person was gonna say like, "Why didn't you just ask sooner?" Like, it's weird. And there's been times where it's like I was afraid to pitch investors for capital for whatever project that I'm working on, and I got it, just so easily. And I feel like courage, it'll take you places where most things actually can't take you, because the thing about it is everybody's afraid of risk, and because everybody's afraid of risk, they're gonna stay in this comfort zone. And as an entrepreneur, it's your job to step out of that comfort zone and make things happen, not only for yourself but your family too. And I was just studying one of my favorite entrepreneurs, who is Richard Branson, the guy who created Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, Virgin everything. Like, he's an amazing person, and he's never in a comfort zone. Like, this guy does crazy stuff all the time. I mean, just crazy stuff like skydiving and, flying jets, and just like things that the normal person would actually be afraid to do. And because he does that stuff, people look up to him, and I feel like as a leader, people will look up to you too if you do the things that are hard for you.
Yeah, an example of that is, so Jada Pinkett Smith, she has her own show on Facebook called Red Table Talk. And Will Smith, he's been like just doing like random videos and stuff like all over his social media. But as of lately, he just released it, or he is releasing his series on Facebook, and it's basically just his bucket list of him skydiving and doing things like he's super scared of. Like, I saw one video, he leaned back over like this really tall building, and it made me anxious just looking at it.
But I feel like, honestly, life happens when we're afraid. Like, that's when you know you are alive. Like,
and I feel like that's the point of him doing this show.
Yeah, because like, think about the last time you were on a roller coaster, or the last time you saw a really thrilling movie or a really scary movie. Like, even though it's that feeling of not being safe, but if you think about it, people seek that feeling out a lot of times, and I feel like everybody seeks it out in their own way. Like, some people, they'll never go in past anything but a scary movie. They'll watch it, but they're not gonna do anything. Some people will go to like a haunted house. Some people, like Will Smith, will jump out of a freaking perfectly good aircraft and like just hope that a parachute opens. So I feel like we all seek that, and we all seek that because we need that in order to feel human. It makes us feel more human, and I feel like in our companies, it makes us worthy of being followed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to connect courage and conviction, I feel like when you have the courage, when you have that strength to face anything through pain or grief, really what people see is that they see that surety, like that that belief, that strong belief that that you're gonna get through it. So people have conviction when they have the courage to do something. Otherwise, they won't do it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, think about yourself. Would you want to follow somebody who's always scared of stuff, bro? Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, and honestly, when I was in the military, I know I don't talk about this a lot, but there's a lot of reasons I don't. But when I was in the military, I feel like I was following people who were like not necessarily the most courageous people all the time. And it just didn't feel right. It's like, I'm following you, why don't you follow me? Because you're scared, I'm not. So it's like, that's just how I felt about it. And it's just something I can't stress enough. Like,
yeah, like if, for example, if one of your soldiers is having a problem, and you as their leader, if you're scared to speak up to your leadership about your soldier's problem, then you're not helping your soldier at all. You're really like, one, you're discouraging them, and two, you're getting in the way of whatever is going on. So it's like you're kind of like a roadblock. If you're not being courageous for your followers or your team or whoever, your employees, then you are a roadblock, blocking them to their success, their destination, their learning, or whatever it is.
That's a good way to put it. And honestly, I have another word for that, but I can't say it because I'm on the air. But, it is what it is.
So number 3 is confidence. So we kind of talked about this already. The definition of confidence is feeling certain, or having like self-assurance. And really, it pretty much relates back to conviction, because when you have conviction, you have like a strong belief. And when you're confident, you feel certain. So you have the conviction to be confident, basically.
Yeah. And I feel like confidence is just key to anything. Like look at any billionaire, any multimillionaire on the face of the planet. I don't care whether they're white, black, Asian, Indian. It doesn't matter. Like one thing that they all have in common is that they're all super confident. They all know that they have what it takes to serve whoever their customer, their clientele base is better than, most people can. And like, and it's funny too because some of them are extroverts, some of them are introverts, some like they're so different, but at the same time, at the core of it all, they're all confident. Like I watched Elon Musk give a presentation for I think it was the Tesla semi truck or it was either the Tesla Roadster, and I really look up to this guy. But honestly, he's one of the most introverted people I've ever seen in my life. And he's not necessarily, he doesn't have the best stage presence, but he's still confident in his product. He could get up there and say several different times, at the end of every sentence. And while most people would nitpick that, and I guess because I kind of watch public speakers, I kind of nitpicked it too. But at the end of the day, I was still passionate about what he was showing me. And honestly, the freaking product kind of speaks for itself. And I've seen other videos of Elon Musk kind of talking about like just different things. Like he's such a confident guy that sometimes he'll come off as a jerk sometimes just because he is so confident. Like somebody brought up like, are you worried about the up and coming competition, because I guess other people were starting to create these electric cars or whatever. And he was like, are you worried about them? And he said, who's that? like that's confidence. Like he's not worried about the competition. And actually in another interview he actually says that he welcomed it because he believed that if he had to be the spark that started this movement, then so be it. And he actually welcomes the competition because it's hard to beat that car in a lot of different areas. So
okay, so I want to go back to you saying how like he said, who's that? So to some people that may sound cocky. So then what do you think the difference is between confidence and cocky?
So they are definitely different. I feel like I wouldn't say be cocky. If you're doing it to be funny, then like by all means do it. Because if you watch a lot of actors, a lot of entertainers, and even entrepreneurs, like they are slightly cocky, but it's for entertainment. It's to make you laugh, not just because they're naturally like that. Mm-hmm. There are some people that are naturally like that, and I kid you not, it's the most unattractive thing you can be as a person. And I feel like when you're confident, you're not only confident in yourself, but you're confident in your team as well. Like you give glory to God when it's due, and you give glory to your team, and you give glory to the people that help you in your journey. Mm-hmm. So when you're confident, it's like people are definitely gonna tip their hats to you, but you're also gonna say, oh yeah, I didn't do it all though, this person helped, that person helped. I feel like when you're cocky, sometimes you kind of just, it's a little off-putting because you kind of just feel yourself, and plus people who are cocky, a lot of times they have a higher measure of themselves in relation to their actual achievement. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to this guy the other day, and he was extremely cocky, like for no reason, because like this specific guy, I'm not gonna bring up who it was, but we're both in real estate in some way, shape, or form, and he's only done like one deal, but he's been in the business 3 or 4 times longer than I have. And he was telling me how to run my business basically, when technically I've done more deals than him in a fraction of the time. And it's kind of like he contacted me to tell me what I was doing wrong without even knowing my entire business model. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes people, they have a higher expectation of themselves than than what their achievements are. So it's a clear difference between cocky and confidence. Like Grant Cardone, like he pushes the boundaries sometimes with people, but he's confident. I mean, he has 5,000 units. He has
I mean,
over
because
800.
you have to be confident if you're going
Yeah.
to be a leader.
Yeah, but the thing about it is his achievements are up there with his confidence. And then some people, like, they have like this entitlement, like you owe them an award for them existing without necessarily having done anything. And that's kind of the difference between confidence and, you know, just being cocky. And I feel like with the confidence side, it's kind of earned. With the cocky,
It's expected.
yeah, it's expected, you know.
Yeah.